With the lovely Krista Wyatt, and she has been working in the world of nonprofit organizations for over 29 years. Krista has developed and implemented organizational, strategic planning, outreach, and program development. She is now the CEO of TimeBanks.org, an international organization that works with TimeBanks to create better solutions to time banking communities. Now, this movement has become greater than it has ever been. With TimeBank.org, unprecedented movement and growth, their focus is to provide education, programs, inspiration, and actionable insights to help build stronger, more resilient communities for the members and coordinators within the time banking community. She has built a statewide network of partners throughout community engagement and has advocated for racial and health equality through policy and education. Krista has spearheaded several initiatives that created a more agile organization, accelerating the nonprofit's ability to respond to their mission and the digital age while ensuring deeper engagement with communities. Welcome, welcome, my lovely Krista. How are you today?
Wonderful. Thanks so much for inviting me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to share about what's going on in the time bank world.
Well, I am so honored and blessed to have you here with us because, as you know, with It Takes a Village Ministry, one of our key themes is that we build immunity through community. And when I learned about you guys in the time banking world, I said, oh my God, this is so awesome. It takes that whole concept of investing in our community to a whole new level. So now, before we begin, let's go back to the beginning. And can you share with us what is time banking? What is it all about?
Well, I will start by just by sharing that TimeBanks in itself started with Edgar Kahn. He is the modern father of time banking, and he is the one made it happen here in the U.S. as well as in the world. He started time banking after having a heart attack. About 30 years ago. And what he wanted to make sure is that everyone felt valued, no matter what state you're in. And that's where time banking was launched, was that feeling of making sure everyone was included in your community. It's that sense of connection and relying on each other. Yeah. So to answer your question, we've been out there for close to 30 years. And it is ever growing and ever evolving in the time bank world. And, you know, what our mission is to not just build the movement, but just to meet where the community is and what their needs are. And so for us to spend in the last, 3 to 5 years of really investing and learning about, what is going on in your community and how can we make it better? How can we build that trust? Yeah. And really finding those type of programs that are out that are really effective to build those community skills. And so we're excited. We're just moving along. So much to do.
So tell us again, what is time banking exactly?
Oh, that's right. So yes. All right. So what's time banking? Great question. Time banking is when you give an hour, you receive an hour. It's as simple as that. We have whatever, it comes in different names, from time credits to community credits. It really is just investing an hour of your time. No matter what you have to offer, it is an hour of your time. And that's what's so priceless, is that we have so much to give, and time is it. Definitely what we can give. But when you earn a credit, you're able to use that credit for someone else's time. And what that means is that, you have read a book to somebody, you earned that 1 hour credit, you received a credit in your bank. And with that credit, you're able to use for other things that you may need. Someone to pick up your medication, to someone cut your grass, to plant. We see time banking happen in so many different ways in terms of exchanging their time is, you learn skills, you learn how to play the, musical instrument, you rely on each other for babysitting, all kinds of things in the time banking world that you could give back to also receive. And so that is the basic concept of time banking, that it's out there.
One of the things I really love the most about time banking is this whole concept of sharing your time. A lot of times we get so overwhelmed with all the 50 million things that are happening in the world. And many people are in a position where they may not be able to give their money, but we are all able to give our time if we choose. And to have that understanding that your time is as valuable, if not more valuable, than material goods. I just saw on the time banking where a person asked for someone to just share time for conversation. And oh my God, it just hit my heart, because what many people don't realize is isolation and loneliness is a significant killer in our community. And so something as simple as just saying, you know what, I'm going to share my time. I'm going to share a conversation with someone.
Right. Yeah, what I learned about Edgar was one of the videos. I can't remember where he had it, but a woman stood up and she said, I have nothing to give. And Edgar goes, but you have love to give. And that's what did it for me in time banking. It's not about it. It's not transactional. It's building a relationship. It's learning to feel valued as a human being. That's what time banking is. And I think there's, two different sides of time banking. One, and both work, but one is, it can be transactional. And what I love about time banking, where it comes from my heart, is that relationship where you just met somebody and I'm going to learn to trust you to come in my home. I'm going to learn from you of what your experience was, what you have faced during, whether it was feeling neglected or hurt. For me to hear those stories and then give back, it is just a healing each other of just saying, you know what, I'm listening. That's all we can do, is just to say, I'm going to be here just to listen. And I think that's very healing for our community, is that, our community people go through so much, and just to share it without any bias or prejudice, I think is important. So sharing each other's stories is a big, big deal about time banking. And I think that is what really needs to be done more and more. It's, time banking, we talk about our core values, and respect is one of them. I just had a conversation with that. As a society, we're growing into pockets of reacting in a way where if we just put our armor down and just listened and shared, what's going on, but also just respecting your views as well, I think that is important. So,
yeah. Now, do you have a personal story in terms of why you became involved in time banking?
Yeah, absolutely. I learned about time banking. Actually, it was a health center that I worked for. And what we did is we created a mentor program, and it was for cancer survivors. And I think that really started it. We had, a mentorship that was in a jar, and there were inspiration quotes of people who were just recently diagnosed. And inspiration quotes are great. We read them. They're like, yeah, we'll put that on our refrigerator. But to me, I needed to make sure that if you have just been recently diagnosed, you need to know immediately that you're not alone.
Yes.
And so that's when I learned about time banking, is if we implemented a program where we had a newly diagnosed survivor, linking them with someone who already went through, hell and back, came back from such an atrocious time, from surgeries to different stages of their cancer journey, but then gone through it, that they're able to give back. And that power of seeing someone who went through it and then said, you know what, because I'm giving it back, of sharing that I'm going to be there for that person, is it was incredible. It was you could feel the energy in the room of after they met, and the other person who felt, that the world is going to end. This is it. It brought them hope. So that's what started with me in time banking, is that giving and receiving part, because I think that as a society, we have grown to receive, but it's really hard to give.
Yeah.
Or receive both, receive and give at the same time. And I think that, there's so many different nonprofits out there that are pertaining to different community needs. But for me, Time Bank goes into a community and it meets everybody's needs.
Yes.
And that's the power of time banking.
I love what you're saying, especially the idea of allowing every single person, regardless of your status, to have that sense of value, of knowing that you have something to share. And it even goes to our population of people that we refer to as maybe challenged in different ways, whether you may have a child that is autistic or someone who's dealing with a variety of different issues. You can always find a gift that person has, a talent that person has. I think about my daughter who's special needs, and her talent is just talking. Oh my God, she could talk to a rock. You hear me? And so, for her to be able to share that gift, which is to have conversation with perhaps an elder, a senior citizen who's looking for company, who's looking for that sense of vitality. And, she could just sit there, chatter, 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 and feel that at the end of that time, she has given a gift to someone else, that her time, her person is valuable. Awesome.
It is awesome. I hear that more now of, after COVID, there were two different types of people that I saw. Was one who actually enjoyed that isolation and then but still wanted to give, but then there's the other type where they wanted to do it over and beyond, get out there and get it back into the community. And that was also people with special needs, people with disabilities. And I met someone who has a time bank that deals with the older disability community. And just to really recognize that in her community, all of the people that joined that time bank have something to give, making pizza, listening to their stories, to playing even a video game, or playing a card game. To me, that sense of shared space, that I'm important to, it just gives them a sense of empowerment that they are part of this, not just the receiver part. They're just part of this connection in our community. And it's a reward to feel valued. And I love that. I love that. So
now what is one mistake or misunderstanding that you have found that people may have with regards to time banking?
I wouldn't say it's a mistake. What I do see is that there are two coins to this. I think that one sees it more transactional, where they have to earn these credits. And because we have been in such a, we've been in part of capitalism for hundreds of years now, that we're so programmed to look at this as more transactional. I think that like I mentioned, is to see time banking as more of an experience.
Okay.
Is my direction, my personal direction, because to me, if we keep living in a world that is just pure transactional, I don't see that much value, because there's different types of currency and it's weighed by a currency rate, but there's no leveling when it comes to the currency of your time. Your time is valued. So I don't see it as a problem. I think it's just something that people choose to do it that way, and that's fine. It's just that if we could create more of a place where we loved with one another, and just realize it's not something that we are a paper. We are not a certificate. We're not a but we're more than that. And I think that is the challenge, is that we have to, it's just a whole new way of thinking. It's a whole new way of thinking for the last 30 years. I think if you're going to say if it's a problem, I think marketing and sharing what time banking should be in every community.
Exactly.
That is our challenge, is that it's this aha moment, like why are we in a society that we have to overcomplicate it? Let's just
It should be default mode.
it should be default. It's like we are going back in time, thousands
Yeah.
of years of gathering each other and we're gathering in the things that we need as a community and sharing. It's like we're hitting the reset button.
Yeah,
So,
I understand exactly what you mean, because I say the same thing with our organization. It takes a village. It's like, why is this so hard? This is the way we used to do things, and it's like now it's like you're looked at as a crazy person if you're proposing these things, and you're like, wait a minute. Human beings operated in this manner for thousands of years. It's only recently that we entered this space where we are isolated beings, that we figure that we have to do it all by ourselves, and we feel a sense of guilt or shame if we ask for help. So I understand completely. And I think the one challenge I can foresee with time banking, because of the people that I know that I usually attract that are over givers in a way, that to also allow yourself to receive, because in receiving you're allowing someone else to have the gift of giving. So I think that would be my one caution. There are many people that feel like they have to give. They give and give and give and give, and they don't take time to just breathe and let someone love on them.
Exactly. I think that there are, what we see now after COVID is a lot of time banks have hit the reset button. And in the past, they were focused on, I would say, focused more on the transactional and digital world. And us revisiting our community and knocking on doors is something that we haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
Knowing our neighbor's name,
Yeah.
our postal carrier's name. It's that sense of, that's what community is knowing each other. And I think that is a challenge, is that it's really understanding, are you meeting the needs of your community, whether in different organizations? Is that really wanting to see, what can I do for you? But you know what? I also have some needs too.
Yeah.
I think that is another way of restarting a time bank, is reminding each other, name 5 things that you have in your house right now that you need done. And they've just been sitting there. Right? How many times have you sit around and you're like, I have to do this weekend. There goes my, walk at the park, because now I have to stay home and, clean the garage. It's just that aha moment of, wait a minute, I have a time bank. I've given so many hours. It's time to say, I would really love for you to come over and help me clean my garage, that. And, here's the thing. It's not just, it can be so much more than that. It's that person coming into your house or your garage, and you get to, work with them, and you start talking. You talk about your past life experiences, whether you've had cultural indifferences with other people, or if you've just had, you've been isolated. Any story that you just feel like you want to share, you have another person listening. So it's like you've just earned another hour because you were listening to somebody else. But that's what I love about it, is just that sense of, you've just met a new friend. It's not just someone who is like, that's what I'm trying to say, is staying away from that transactional. It's that experience. I love that.
I love that you're emphasizing that it's not, and I think that for me is one of the distinguishing differences between time banking and bartering. Bartering is very transactional. I do this, you do that. And time banking, as you said, is more of an experience. And what I share to people is that it's a matter of investing in the community, because when you invest your time into the community, you may not receive from that person that you gave to. You are going to more likely receive from other parts of your community. if not from the international part of the community. And that's what I really enjoy about timebanking.org. So ladies, I encourage you to look into the show notes and click on the link for It Takes a Village Time Bank and join our Time Bank so that you can not only be able to share and receive with your community, that's your local community, but also the beautiful thing about this Time Bank is that it allows you to also share and receive from an international community. So I thank you, Krista, for joining us today and giving us a little bit more of a peek into the world of time banking. Is there any last thing that you would like to say to our audience before we close out?
Well, I love the fact that you started your time bank with It Takes a Village. I think that is going to be phenomenal, especially you reaching out to the international community. What I would also love is that your members, your community gets to share each other's gifts, not only on, in your area, but around the world. And to me, when we look at cultural diversity and understanding and respecting one another, you are just you already know it, is that you're educating and your other members will be educated as well to learn about other people's cultures. And I think that is so important, from sharing recipes to your time, or learning a new language. There's so much potential of learning from each other and just opening that door to more of a global world, that utopia that we've been dreaming about. So I love that.
Awesome. So ladies, once again, be sure to go into the show notes and join our Time Bank and experience the world of giving and sharing and reciprocity. We look forward to being with you again for our next episode. And until then, peace and blessings. Bye. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Mommy Heal Thyself. If you like what we're doing here, please share, subscribe, like us, and leave a comment. Your feedback is very much appreciated.